So today, this is a MTD with Briggs and Stratton. You don't really know what size it is or anything, but it has a couple problems. One, this is bent. That's a throttle control. Not really sure why. The primer bulb is pretty nasty. We'll have to replace that. My main concern is this. Now, see how it sounds and what it looks like. There's zero compression in there. So what we're going to do is, I have a sinking suspicion that it's either a stuck valve or just a bad motor. So I guess it could be a blown head gasket, in which case we'll find out here now anyway. So first things first, I'm going to take off the boot. Oddly enough, all these are 3/8. They're usually 1/2 inch. I don't know if this is the type that goes in order, but I'm going to put them in order. Because sometimes one is longer than the others, or just in case it is. Let's do that. And these aren't even on there tight. We don't have to take the cover off. I'm going to bend this plate a little bit, make it easier. Maybe this. Persuasion. There we go. Oof. Look at that. It's a whole lot of nastiness in there. Let me put you at a better angle so you can see this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we can see it's all really gooey in there. Head gasket had stayed on the block, but watch the valve. It is not moving. So, pardon me, let us take a little bit of oil. Got a little in there, so take a little bit of oil and a little hammer. Push that in. You know what? Didn't even bother to look at. Is the piston even moving? That's what it is. Perfect. Okay. So, as you can tell, that's pretty nasty. I'm going to clean it up with a wire wheel. Be right back. so now we're going to let's put some fuel in there. There we go. It's already down. Bail's down. I'm going to, oh, that's 2-cycle fuel, by the way. Give it a little yank. Oh, you know what? That helps. Let's see what happens. Maybe there's enough fuel in there already. You know what? Let's take a look at that plug. Ooh, it's wet. Okay. Grab a new one. This plug is a 796112. There you have it. Next stage is going to be carburetor. Let's go ahead and put it back up and get that started. Okay, so hopefully you can see. There's usually a 3/8 right here, but for whatever reason there's just a flathead screw. Let's take that off. Oh my God. Okay. Next, 1/2 inch. Okay. And take that off. Usually there isn't this cable, but this one has it. And then it just kind of comes right off the little butterfly. And here we have it. We're going to take this over to the carb station. Okay, so here we are. We have a new carb kit, flat Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to take this off. 5 screws. There we go. So this is what they call a Briggs and Stratton Classic, I believe. It's actually a very nice setup. It's very easy, it's very simple. It's not nearly as picky when it comes down to water. It's probably most definitely not nearly as efficient, but it's not that bad. Let's take this off too. That's a air filter gasket. screws come off. There we are. That looks pretty clean. We want to keep this little spring, and we're going to wash this and wash my hands at the same time. The tank is empty. Yeah, it wasn't horrible, but let's get rid of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of this action, kind of get some more grime off of it, blow it out, take this over to the sink, wash it out, and dry it off. Be right back. Okay, so this is nice and clean. You want to make sure the pickup tube is clean, and also put good blast of air through the jet. So how this ends up working is this actually picks up the fuel, it goes through the little reservoir, the pump pumps it in, and this is actually the jet. It sucks out this little area, so you want to boil that out as well. So now that that's done, in the kit you get a diaphragm. This goes first, and a gasket. Put those on. But first, what we need to do is put another primer bulb on there. Let's clean this off. So, maybe, hopefully you can't see through that. On the side there's these little clips. Push it in. That clip is out. You can see it already coming out. Do the same thing for the other side. Push it in. Have to be a little careful. This is plastic. And try not to stab yourself. There we go. And it should come out. And there we are. Let's blow this out, cover your ears. Let me clean it out a little bit here. Get a little carburetor cleaner in there. And there we are. Okay. Now to install, it's literally the exact opposite. Push that in. Take the screwdriver, push in the other side. You can also use a drill bit, or not drill bit, but a socket. But this works. And there you have it. Okay. Put that in. Make sure the holes line up. Put the 5 screws in. Oh, nope. We forgot a couple of crucial steps. 1, filter. It's clean, but just to make sure. And the spring. If you do not put this spring on, it will not function correctly. There we go. That was being difficult. There we are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't think you need to see me do this. I'm just going to put the screws down, cross pattern. You want to put them tight, but not super tight. Just make them snug. That's very important. Otherwise, you could distort it and it won't run right. Okay, so now we just do basically everything in reverse. There's only one hole on the butterflies, so we take the little clip, put that back in. We want to make sure the seal is in the other side of the carburetor too. Now, this could be more treacherous. Put it in. It's usually a lot easier without this throttle cable in the way. There we go. And push it on. There's a little spacer for the bolt. Fell off. Put that back in there. It's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. There we go. Half inch. Very good. The air filter actually wasn't bad at all, but what it did not have is it did not have any oil. When you have these, you want to put a little bit of oil on them, and then kind of push them in your hand and make sure they're lubricated, because it's just like a sponge, and if you don't, the sponge will be dry and will actually get a lot of the contaminants. Okay, so let's put this down. Not very tight, just enough so it makes a good contact with the carburetor. And we have this bolt. This is the bolt it's supposed to be. I think I might just see if I could put one of those on instead. I don't really see a reason why it needs that. I think someone had just had this motor on before. There we go, much better. There is oil. It's pretty nasty though, but we're going to let it run to see if it is good to go. And if it is, we'll change it. And then we're also going to check for the blade, assuming that it also runs again. But let's go ahead and put you over there, give it a prime or two, and then we'll see what we have. Okay, so next day I had to take care of a few things. So what I did when you guys were gone, I decided to give it a pull. It runs, but I noticed in here it's very stiff. This is a governor for this type of engine, so what we need to do is we need to take off the cover, which I hope doesn't require taking off this, but maybe. That is a Phillips head screwdriver. Let's just grab one in case. So first things first is there's a dipstick back here we need to unscrew. There we go. That was on there. There should be 2 screws. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This right here is pretty nasty, probably gummed up. What this does is the flywheel spins, more air pushes the throttle back, less air, spring pulls the throttle in to give it more gas. So this little mechanism is causing it to kind of not work out very well. And this is actually the brake. That needs to be put back on too. That was just flopping in the wind. Other than that, just a good old cleaning. The clutch feels pretty good. Because it was stuck, I take that off. It's not hard, it's 4 bolts, or 2 bolts actually. It comes right off. Sometimes you will need a special tool though to take that off. Okay, so what I'm going to do, quarter. This bolt is also holding magneto down, so if the magnet on the flywheel is there, there's a chance it might throw it out of position, so you might want to just spin it so there isn't. Magnet should be right there for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off, clean it up, and put it back together. Okay, and we're back. So, wire wheeled that, and I've got these little brushes. They came in the pack of a carburetor cleaning kit I got. I never really use them for carburetor cleaning, but I use it for small little areas like this. Shove like 2 or 3 of them in there and just kind of get all the dirt out. On the internet, I found a couple places that said that you're supposed to put oil on that, but it's kind of confusing for me because it runs just fine without it, and every time I put oil on it, because I have one of these types of mowers to kind of go over like a little back area in my yard that I don't really want to run the risk of hitting like the blade on a rock or a root or something. I have a good mower, so I have one of these, and every time I put oil on the screw, it always gets stuck. Like the oil just attracts the dirt. So I don't put oil, it just cleans it. Same thing with the clutch. I put the smallest amount of oil, and it has to be really light, but other places, for whatever reason, say to put a lot. I don't. Okay, so this, much better now. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and put this back on. Usually it's a lot easier because it doesn't have the throttle cable most of the time, but this one's going to be a little difficult. Now I know it's holding us up. The clutch. Okay, let me monkey around with this real quick. Okay, now that's all done. The only thing to do is put the screws back on for the dipstick. There's 3 3/8 bolts, one right here, corresponding side, one on the front. That goes on. Now, all that's still good. I'm going to put the air filter cover back on, and I forgot if I mentioned this earlier, but I took the filter out, which is kind of like a sponge, and I put some oil on it to make sure it filters out all the small particles. Because no oil just can, if you might block a piece of grass, but the dirt that you go through won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it down, give it a couple primes, bring you back. Okay, recap. What have we done? Freed the valve, redid the carburetor, redid the throttle, or the not the throttle, but the governor system on it, which is actually probably a better one than the current ones, because at least the current one has like a gear that rides off the camshaft, and over time those can break and ruin your motor. This will never be ruined. Oil's good. Put a new plug on it. It might smoke when you turn it on because there might be a little oil in the cylinder, but let's give it a try. Okay, I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to order a new head gasket for it and put it on the internet. These aren't really all that valuable, probably $40, but it's something to work on and good it's just fun, more or less. Yeah, so this is a good, why am I, my mind's just blank right now. It's a good example of not all motors when there's no compression means that it's, something you can never be fixed. This took maybe like an hour. But it's all ready to go, so I'm going ahead and put more oil in it, or change all the oil out of it, give it a good pressure washing, and you'll see the final product on the thumbnail. Have any questions, make sure to set them below, and definitely like and subscribe.